Altitude 110 minutes.
Tucson's News Control, KTKT.
The Tucson street level temperature is 78 degrees. This is Jerry Stowe reporting in the public interest. Chicago holiday traffic deaths are closing on a record, but it appears the worst fears of safety experts will not be realized. The death rate ran 5 an hour through the first 90 hours of the weekend, then dropped to half that rate. The National Safety Council's advanced estimates of 450 deaths was surpassed at mid-afternoon yesterday. A later council estimate set the figure at 491, which would be a record number of deaths. Late reports of deaths before midnight local time still are coming in, and the latest traffic count shows 486 deaths. New York City U.S. merchant ships carrying American flags have started sailing in increased numbers as striking maritime workers return to their jobs. At least 5 American ships put out of New York between mid-afternoon yesterday and late last night. Ships also put out of several other U.S. ports as the seamen went back to work under a temporary federal court order ending their strike. Hyannisport, Massachusetts, President Kennedy flies to Washington this morning following a holiday weekend in Hyannisport. He is expected to arrive in Andrews Air Force Base near the capital at about 10:15 Eastern Daylight Time. Yesterday, the president sent Soviet Premier Khrushchev an Independence Day message that in effect spelled out the principles on which this nation was founded. Geneva, the U.S. and Red China last night turned the Geneva Conference of Laos into a verbal battlefield. Clashes between the two nations threatened to break up the parley for good. The U.S. accused the Reds of trying to divert world attention from a Red takeover in Laos. The Communists accused the U.S. of preparing new military adventures in Laos. Washington, a State Department spokesman, says the U.S. wants to study the regime of South Korea's new strongman before commenting on it. But he says reports indicate that General Pak is an anti-communist despite his one-time conviction for alleged Red activities. Pak's military group yesterday arrested ousted Premier Chang and 18 of his followers on charges that they were Red collaborators. Algiers, some observers in Algeria fear that even the thousands of French riot police and soldiers on hand in Algiers may not be able to control an expected Muslim demonstration today. The Algerian rebel government termed today Showdown Day in its 7-year battle against French rule. It called for Muslim demonstrations to show how much support it has among 9 million Muslims in Algeria. London, the largest British fleet to move through the Suez Canal since France and Britain invaded the canal zone in 1956, may soon be steaming through the Middle Eastern waterway. Britain has notified the United Arab Republic, that is, that its warships would navigate the canal on its way to Kuwait to supply British troops that landed there last week. The UAR protested the British troop landings, but has made no comment on the ship movement.
Who wants to join the Army?
How's that again?
Radar weather for Tucson, mostly clear and warmer. Yesterday's high was 95 degrees, expected high today of 100. This morning's low, 70 degrees. From the KTKT meteorological map, relative humidity 23%. The wind is south at 6 miles per hour. The barometer reading rising to 29.99 hundredths inches. And the current Tucson street level temperature, 78 degrees.
If you don't want it heard on KTKT News, don't let it happen.
It's the Jerry Stowe Show on Color Radio. We're gonna orbit tonight with this satellite on the Jerry Stowe Show on KTKT.